Gear up, Scooter fam. Why did I decide on the Nami Klima? Today, that's going to be the topic, and I was going to go over some of the major deciding factors. Now, truth be known, I've been following the Klima and other scooters for a while, and every time I sliced it up, every time I took the data and I said top speed, all these things, the Klima came out to the top of every list just about. If it competed in the price, the Klima was up there. So it just seemed like it had more of everything um, that I was interested in um, compared to other scooters. So let's go over those things real quick. So first of all, um, it had to be dual motor. That was even the case with my previous scooter, with the Journey Max. Um, I I don't see myself going for a single motor scooter. You know, paying my money for a single motor scooter. Now, if I was proven wrong, if I got to review a single motor scooter that I felt like the performance was up to par with something, even the Journey Max, I would be impressed. I would seriously consider um, that scooter. But we're talking about acceleration. We're talking about hill climbing. We're talking about um, the things that the. I mean, that's pretty much it. The things that the Journey Max does well. It's in any case. So the Klima, the scooter that I was going to have that was going to meet my specs was the dual motor, and so it had to be dual motor, which is a pretty basic thing. But I wanted to start there. For me, it's got to be a dual motor scooter at this point in my scooter journey. If I'm going to spend my hard-earned money on it, if I find something different in the future that I feel warrants a change, then I'll keep you guys posted. But for now, I believe dual motor scooters are the way to go. You can get one cheap as 400 and something. This the Journey Max right now is 443, I think, on Amazon. You can get them for under $500 most of the time. Uh, and after that, you want a little nicer scooter. The Emotion Climber has a few more features, though it doesn't have suspension. Uh, it's around $600 right now. But in any case, that's the minimum. The second thing that I wanted my out of my second scooter was that it went above 30 miles, 35 miles per hour. Hopefully between 30 40 miles an hour. Uh, Somewhere in that range. Because there are times where I have to jump into traffic. I'm not necessarily, uh, excited about. Certainly going 20 miles an hour makes me pretty nervous. But to have the ability to keep up with traffic when I do have to jump out there, which is pretty rare, but it happens. There's a couple of trips that I make where it's necessary for a short period of time to get out with traffic going 35, 40 miles an hour. So that's where I kind of wanted to be. If there's a road that it goes over that, I probably don't need to be on it on a scooter. But so that's and like I said, it's a handful of times that I come into that situation. It's only for a very short period. So in no in no way am I going to be driving on a 35, 40 mile an hour road on a regular basis on the scooter. It needed to go above 35 miles an hour. So far, there's a lot of scooters that meet these qualifications. Um, Plenty of scooters have dual motors that go above 35. It has to be able to handle that speed too, which I'll talk about. Let's keep going. Um, I wanted to get at least the amount of range that I got out of the Journey Max, hopefully a little more, um, because it's done a sufficient job as far as range goes for my normal daily tasks. So I don't even have to charge it every day. So if I go out, or every day that I ride it, I may not ride it every single day, but I may ride it every other day, and so I wanted to be able to make, 2 or 3 trips without me having to charge it, which is, you know normally what I get. So if and I haven't tested the full range. I think I'm up to 26 miles and like 67% battery, I think. um I did end up, so I had some tape, and I really was nervous to ride the scooter like that. So I was trying to think of a little bit more permanent solution until I get my brakes, which are supposed to be here Friday. So just a couple of days I'll have my brakes, and everything will be grand if I can get them on and working. But so I took out the tape because the tape wasn't staying where it should be. You're squeezing the brakes, it kind of moves around and so forth. So I got some hot glue, and I put it on the lever inside, just inside the the lever, where the flat part is, where it makes contact with the pin. So it had a little, kind of like the tape, it just has a little bump in it, a little dollop of hot glue. And I let it cool, of course. I didn't want it, hot, touching the sensor and getting gunk on the sensor. It's only on the brake lever, which can be easily removed if I needed to just peel it off. But I don't. I think it's going to hold up better than the tape. And so I tried that out. So far, it has been. And then, of course, once I get the other brakes, it shouldn't be an issue. So yeah, I'm waiting on that, and I have to bleed the brakes and so forth. Anyway, I've been riding it around a little bit, and so far I've gotten 26 miles. I've only charged it one time fully. I charged it once I got the brakes somewhat fixed temporarily. I went ahead and charged the scooter to full charge, so that I could ride it around and test it. Of course, I didn't get too far on it, and the brakes never really got usable. I've done a little tweaking, and they seem a little, at least doable, for short trips. I still don't go very far because I want to play it pretty safe for now. Just very short trips until I get the regular brakes on there. I'm still not going very fast because of the brakes, and so I'm just taking short trips very slow. It's kind of boring. I go faster on my Journey Max. I'm more comfortable at this point on my Journey Max. So that's one thing. I got to get comfortable on the Klima. It's a whole different level of scooter, and so I've got to get comfortable on it. But not having any brakes isn't helping that situation. So once I get the brakes and once I get a feel for the scooter, it's going to be really fun. And so I wanted to have over 20 miles of range to get me around to my normal tasks. So far, I got 26. Some of that's probably pretty slow. None of it is an eco. I can't drive the scooter in eco. It hardly stays up to keep moving at eco. It's almost, I have to weave to get it going, which is very silly for a scooter like that. I don't have to do that on my Journey Max. So my Journey Max is better in eco mode than the Klima. Facts. So the next thing that I really wanted, because the Journey Max lacks this, seriously lacks, is full suspension. And I wanted to be able to hit bumps without feeling like my hands are just going to get knocked off the handlebars, which sometimes was the case on the Journey Max. I experimented between fingerless gloves and full finger gloves, and I ended up with these. Got a knuckle protector. I've seen a couple of people wear them. I thought they looked pretty cool, and they're pretty comfortable. They got this padding in here that helps a lot with the shock absorption, and so it's not so jarring. Not having the fingers being open, I didn't feel that I had a full grip because I was able to have more contact with my palm than I was the fingers. Just a barely, but it's it's something. And so I I like the full fingered gloves, and they provide a lot more comfort and I believe a lot more grip, uh, and absorb some of that shock. So the full fingered nice gloves have actually improved that quite a bit, and I've gotten kind of used to it a little bit. I think it was more scary at first, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep control. But as long as I keep my hands on the handlebars and um, hold it very tight, uh, I never have almost lost control, but I have had it. I felt like I was going to a couple of times, and like I said, it was just early on in my journey, and on my journey, um, Max, and so that's one of the things that I really wanted to improve on my next scooter was I wanted full suspension. Another part of criteria that I needed this scooter to make was it had to be under $2,000. So I had a budget of $2,000. I was looking in the range of spending between $1,500 and $2,000. I looked at several scooters, some that came in pretty close to the $1,500 mark that I was really looking at. If you guys seen my previous video, which was the Wolf Warrior X, I believe it was $15.99, and there was $100 discount somehow, and so it was $14.99, which is a great deal for that scooter. Specs are very similar to the Klima. At the end of, and it's very close. It's a very close scooter. I was really torn between the two. But ultimately, I had, like I said, followed the Klima for a while. It was top of my list in every category, just about, and so that's one of the reasons I went with it. In any case, another criteria that I needed the scooter to meet was I either had to have tubeless tires or split rim tube tires. Either one of those would have been fine. I just don't. I didn't want to go through what I went through with my Journey Max, trying to get tubes on without a split rim and popping tubes, and it was just a real hassle. So I got tubeless tires, which I haven't worked a lot with, but I know I can't pop a tube, so that's somewhere that we're gonna have some success already. So there were plenty of scooters that had tubeless at this price point, or a couple that had split rims. Maybe the Wolf Warrior X has split rims and tubes, I think, which that wouldn't bother me, as long as they're not tube tires with not having split rims, because that's a real pain. So aside from that, it needed to be stable at top speeds. So, I wanted it to go 35 miles an hour plus, 30 to 45 miles an hour, but I wanted to handle that speed effortlessly, as part of the normal daily stuff, just in case I needed to do that. I don't want to get there and start wondering, like, do I need a steering damper? These kind of things. And I've seen couple people put steering dampers on the Klimas, but it's got to be for looks. And I just don't. I followed the Klima and lots of stuff. I'm on some boards, everything. And I've never heard anyone say they have problems with speed wobble on the Klima. On the Bernese, there is. And so this is a little bit, cheaper scooter. It doesn't go as fast as the Bernese, but it's a lot more portable. It's not bad. I don't have a problem carrying it, like I said, up and down my steps. If I had to put it in the back of the car, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's not that bad. So it doesn't lock up when you fold it down. That's not a big deal. I don't hardly fold any of my scooters, so that would be a once in a while kind of thing. Sometimes I fold them when I'm working on them, make it easier to work on, but not on a daily basis. Am I folding the scooter up? So that's that's the big thing I wanted. Was it to be stable at top speeds. Easy, just easy. And the Wolf Warrior X also falls into that category, having the dual stem. The Cabo Wolf series is known for their stability at top speed, so I believe it goes a little faster than the Klima and maybe gets a little bit more range. But like I said, the Klima has been on top of my list for a really long time, and so it really came down to those two were my most likely choices. In any case, it needed to have a center full color display, and that's just a preference. I don't like the ones on the right side with the trigger. I don't necessarily want the trigger throttle either, which I think maybe the Wolf Warrior X did have a trigger throttle. The new model had the center display, which was a must for me. I would have settled for having a trigger and just see how I like it, but I either wanted the regular thumb throttle or the paddle throttle, which when I refer to a paddle throttle, I'm referring to the horizontal thumb style. So to me, the other one's more of a thumb throttle, and it just kind of has a thumb feel to it. But this one, I mean, you still use it with your thumb, but it's more of a paddle. It's like if you ever play the pinball machines, it's like the paddle. It acts like a paddle, so I call it a paddle throttle. It keeps things less confusing. When you say thumb throttle, you're trying to figure out, are they talking about the paddle style throttle or the throttle that goes up and down, a vertically actuated throttle or a horizontally actuated throttle. I knew those words. I was trying to keep it simple. So, but yeah, you want the. I wanted one of those. Either one of those are my top choices. Twist throttle. I thought about for a while, but I think I'm okay on that. I really was interested more in either the paddle or the thumb throttle. And so that is one thing that the Wolf Warrior X, I don't believe, has. I mean, we might be able to change it out, but I believe it comes with a finger throttle. Trigger throttle. So I call it. So I believe the Wolf Warrior X comes with a trigger throttle. So that was the one thing I wanted, was a center display. The throttle was less important. I probably could have lived with any of the throttles if it had everything else, which is why the Wolf Warrior X was still in my possible choices. The last thing it had to have was, I really wanted it to be a reputable brand. So something like Nami, Cabo, even Apollo, or Solar. Some people that's been around a little while, that's has some previous versions. Roadrunner would be fine. Any of those, I mean, Go Tracks. It just needs to be a name that's around. Both my scooters with the Hover One is a well-known brand, and of course the Nami is a well-known brand. So that's another thing that was important to me. I just didn't want to take a chance on a no-name scooter for this scooter. I mean, I'm not opposed to getting a scooter with that's less known brand. That's fine, but for this particular one, I wanted a reputable brand as my choice. Some other features that came with the Nami that I wasn't necessarily had to have, but they're nice to haves. Front turn signals. The old Nami did not have front turn signals. The Klima rather, it didn't have the front turn signals installed. It had the rear LED display on the back plate there, which caused some, oddly enough, some brake sensor issues, which I'm personally having the same kind of issues, but not because of the LED light, because of the brake levers. So, yeah, I was really happy that it had front turn signals. I don't think the Wolf Warrior X has front turn signals either, so that's a bonus. It has sine wave controllers. I prefer those, and I was hoping to find a scooter with sine wave controllers, but it wasn't 100% necessary. It was close. It was close. I mean, I was certainly gonna find something. If I could find sine wave controllers in that price point, then I was happy with that. Solar has some. Cabo, Wolf Warrior has sine wave controllers, and a few different ones, but not all of them. So that's a bonus. That's a plus. Like I said, it wasn't an absolute, but it was a really want. Really want. I could live without it, but I'd rather not. The next thing that it had is the fully adjustable suspension. What the Klima is known for, what the Namis are known for, are suspension. And at the end of the day, like, that's a big deal. It's a big deal. One of the things, once again, that I liked the least about riding the Journey Max was the lack of suspension, the rough ride. Like I said, I got used to it, but it wasn't enjoyable. And me, now having brake issues, I still have to go make runs on my on my Journey Max now and then. It's night and day difference. I don't feel near as comfortable as far as that goes on my Journey Max. So I ride the Klima much more relaxed. Even though I'm worried about the brakes, as far as the ride, I'm just not. I don't feel like my hands are gonna fall off. Every little bump I hit, it's just a much nicer feeling ride. You feel safe. You feel, aside from the brakes, the ride itself feels really nice. So that's probably the biggest plus. That's probably the biggest plus. Definitely one of the biggest pluses. Was just that Nami does suspension maybe better than anyone. Certainly street suspension. I don't think anyone will argue that Nami doesn't win hands down. There's other companies that do a good job with suspension. The InMotion RSs have nice suspension. The GTR and the Cabos, they have decent suspension. I don't believe the Wolf Warrior X is fully adjustable. I don't think on both levels with the rebound and the load, whatever that's called. You can adjust the spring and the rebound. So in any case, fully adjustable is definitely a bonus. And like I said, they probably do a better job. Like I said, the Cabos are great. The GTR, it does have the more adjustable suspension, but it's more for off-road type suspension, not necessarily for a smooth ride. But it, it does handle the bumps and so forth with ease. So smooth ride, that type of suspension, street suspension, I believe the Nami line does that better than anyone, and a big part of my decision was because of that. Hydraulic brakes are a plus. I've never my scooter, well, my Journey Max does not have hydraulic brakes. It's got a single rear disc brake and then regenerative brakes. So they work fine. I don't have a problem with the brakes on the scooter. But the hydraulic brakes make it a little bit nicer. And so I'm looking forward to getting those working properly, and so I can get a better feel for those. But it is nice to have hydraulic brakes as opposed to mechanical disc brakes. I wanted it to have a decent waterproof rating. It wasn't a must that it had the best waterproof rating, and there are scooters that have a better waterproof rating than the Klima. But Nami stands by their scooters. I think it's an IP55. Yeah, there it is. It's an IP55, which is better than my Journey Max, which was a 4, which is as low as you can get, but at least it's a rating. So you can go through the sprinklers without having to worry too much. But the Klima, they show it going through puddles and so forth. 55 IP55 should allow you to go through puddles, drive in the rain, that kind of thing. You don't want to go through really super deep puddles unless you got the IP6, the second number, 66, 56, X6, something 6, to protect your battery and everything as well. But I did want to have at least decent waterproof rating, rain protection, whatever, what have you, puddles, and mainly that's in case I get stuck out in the rain. I don't ever plan on riding my scooter in the rain. I don't even have rain gear, so if I went and ride my scooter in the rain, it would be silly for me just to go out in my clothes and ride. But I have almost got caught out in the rain a couple times on my Journey Max. I didn't, but it was close. Not a big deal. I mean, it wasn't too big of a deal, but I would like it to be less of a deal. So if it started pouring on me while I was out, I mean, I'm usually pretty good, but sometimes we get sneaky showers here where I live. So that's that's part of it. I wanted to have to be able to get home without really worrying too much about being caught in the rain. Simple as that. So that was another one. And then I think I talked about the paddle throttle earlier, and that was probably although I haven't ridden a scooter with a paddle throttle. There are some like the 4-wheelers and stuff that have the same kind of throttle, so I was familiar with how they worked. I knew there was a dead zone, and I knew it would be kind of take a little touch and feel kind of thing to see how that played out. It took me very little time. I used the very inside where the thumb piece. I think I said last time talking about the piece that connects. I really paid attention today when I was riding, and it's more on the right where it connects to there. Right where they connect is where right on the end of the thumb pad, right before it connects to the paddle part. So that's where I found my natural feel for the scooter, and I get acceleration. I go in dynamic mode, which is second gear, and I find myself right now fine with that. I get really smooth acceleration. It doesn't jump on me. It doesn't come out of nowhere. I guess that dead zone kind of sneaks up on you if you try to just do it normally. But I never really tried that. I tried rolling my thumb off the base, which I didn't. For me, like I said, everybody's got different hands, different feelings, different way they like to do things, and for me, it just worked better to put it right there. So, play with that if you're gonna get a Klima. So, I wanted to try the paddle style. I was fine with a thumb throttle. I would have settled for just about any throttle, um, as long as it had a center display, color display, and that's just preference. Even my Journey Max has a center display. It's not a lot to it, but it is center and it is color and it looks nice. So that was a minimum for me. The very last thing, and this might be the biggest thing for sure, was that I had heard doing my research on Nami and the Klima, is that the co-founder and CEO Michael Shaw was good at helping just everyday customers solve their problems with their scooters, and so to me that says a whole lot about the company. It says a whole lot about Nami, and they know they're not perfect, and this guy takes feedback from everybody who's willing to give it to him. I Customer service with Fluid Free Rides was on the slow side. I mentioned that. Still, happy in general with them. I just wish they'd speed up their service. And so I reached out to Michael Shaw, found his email, and I sent him an email, and I told him I was having problems, and he actually responded. So a couple times, a lot better than Fluid did, to be honest. And he's the CEO. So I had a couple conversations with Michael Shaw. The first day he probably was a little bit busy, but he still responded to me like off and on. And then the next day he was pretty adamant when I got somewhere. He told me what was wrong, and I needed this. He offered to send me what I needed. But of course, him being the manufacturer or whatever, the scooter company, not the retailer, he would have to charge me like $50 for shipping. And so I was like, I'll follow up with Fluid because they'll send it to me for free, but I'll have to wait. So I worked it out with Fluid. We came to a reasonable and mutual agreement on a resolution. So I don't have a problem with that. As long as it works, I won't have a problem with that. But like I said, I do wish it was a lot more like Mr. Shaw handled the situation. He handled it great. So just knowing that he, not necessarily that I would have to use that. I hoped I didn't have to call or email Michael Shaw. But I went ahead and the idea of it is, and I did need to, and he was helpful, even just emailing him, and that was awesome. So, but I mean, he wanted videos. Hey, send me a video. I mean, it was just great. It was really great. Meanwhile, Fluid is like responding like once a day, and they're kind of getting on the same stuff. But I'm able to get much further with Michael Shaw than if I had been having to deal with this without him. So knowing that that's his approach, not that I would ever need to use that, just it makes me feel a lot better about buying a scooter from a company who has a CEO who does that. He rides his own scooters around. I can't say enough about Michael Shaw. And one of the reasons that I am a Nami fan, and the probably biggest reason I bought the Klima over all those other scooters. Guys, if you found this content helpful and you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe, and happy riding.